Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Last week I told you guys that we were done with the letter B, and from now on things were gonna be a bit more random. Well, in keeping with that, today we're going back to the letter B. There's a special reason for it, because this week the B stands for Balboa. Rocky Balboa.
Because guess what, people? Rocky was totally gonna be a G.I. Joe. Yeah, Hasbro has always had a thing with putting quote-unquote real characters in the toy line. Sergeant Slaughter, William the Refrigerator Perry, Bruce Willis. Oh, come on. They may have called him Joe Colton, but that was just Bruce Willis playing himself. So one day, they decided they wanted Sylvester Stallone. At this point in time, he was known for two roles, John Rambo and Rocky Balboa. Now, which one of these characters would you want to be a part of your military toy line? If you said Rambo, well, you'd still be wrong, considering he was supposed to be a really screwed up Vietnam vet with post-traumatic stress disorder, but at least you'd have come to the logical conclusion. But nope, instead they went for Rocky, the boxer. Well, after a wrestler and a football player, I guess they wanted to continue the theme.
Given more time, they probably would have added something even more ridiculous, like, I don't know, a baseball player?
Oh, god damn it. Rocky was supposed to be a special trainer for the G.I. Joe team, sort of like the Fridge was. So, negotiations began. Plans were made. A prototype was commissioned as well as card art. It even got so far that the character appeared in the Order of Battle comic, which reprints file cards. Then Stallone backed out, so retractions had to be made. I can't say I blame Stallone, really. He had an opportunity to lend his face to a line of Rambo toys, as well as a cartoon, which would have made him a lot more money than just a single G.I. Joe figure. Yes, there was a cartoon and toy line for Rambo, because we really want to turn the violent psycho into a cartoon character. It seemed to be the style at the time. We also got a RoboCop cartoon and toys based on aliens. Because what parent wouldn't want his kids to play with a set of killer penis monsters?
And that was it as far as Stallone and G.I. Joe were concerned. As far as his involvement goes anyway. Hasbro, though, had already created an adversary specifically for the Rocky character. Which brings us to today's actual review.
Meet Big Boa, Cobra's equivalent of Rocky. Let's start with the name, shall we? What we've got here is a situation where it would have been Balboa versus Big Boa. That's the reason for his name. It's a pun, people.
Well, start laughing. Why aren't you laughing? Come on!
By the way, Belgium got around this by renaming him Big Boss. I have no idea why, since they usually only renamed characters by giving them a Dutch or French word for a name. Anyway, Big Boa here was released in 1987 with all original body parts. And he certainly has a unique look, doesn't he? Dude looks like he belongs in a Mad Max movie or something. And the guy has some muscles. But I'm happy to say that he doesn't have 90s muscles, meaning he still looks relatively well proportioned, as opposed to more, shall we say, Liefeld-esque bodies. There's some nice attention to detail there too, like even his legs are toned. It would have been easy to just give him an ordinary pair of pants. Hell, if you look closely, even his buttocks look toned.
And that's about as much discussion of a man's muscle definition as I'm heterosexually comfortable with.
It doesn't help that he looks like he'd fit right into an S&M dungeon. Paint those straps black and he could have been another member of Demolition. Anyway, adding to his uniqueness is the head sculpt. It looks more like a robot head than a helmet, but I do like the general idea behind it. What's better for an evil boxer than something that prevents him from being hit in the face? Still, the robotic look, if you want to make your own menacing killer machine, is quite appealing. As far as his accessories go, Big Boa is one of the few figures in the line that didn't actually come with any weapons.
Unless you count these 2 slabs of beef at the end of his arms.
He came with his own 2 boxing gloves and a punching bag. While simple, they did add some very nice details. The gloves have the Cobra logo on them, while the bag has the word Joe on it. And I suppose in a pinch the bag could be used as a weapon. After all, this is a world where a football on a flail is somebody's preferred weapon of choice. I don't recommend putting the punching bag in the hands of a classic Joe figure though, because it's a little bit too thick and it could really very easily damage the thumbs. That's why in this picture it's actually a newer figure holding it that has softer thumbs that can be easily manipulated. His air hose is technically an accessory since it's detachable from the head, but I really just consider it part of the head sculpt. It's also a pain in the ass to find if he's missing the damn thing. This was the only toy of Big Boa ever made in the original toy line. It makes sense in this case, really, since his sole purpose was to fight a character that never existed.
So let's talk about his personality. Well, first and foremost, he didn't show up in the cartoon, and I don't remember him from the comic any, so we've only got the file card to go on.
He's the trainer for all Cobra troopers, since those guys aren't motivated by honor or a sense of duty or any of that crap. So they need another kind of motivational speaker. One that has the voice of a bullhorn. No, not that one. And can either punch or headbutt them straight into next week. Big Boa is that guy. He makes them crawl up a mountain pushing a bowling ball with their nose. Yeah, somehow I don't see these jackasses accomplishing that. And that's basically all there is to this guy's personality. He's tough, mean, and trains Cobra soldiers. I have a feeling this file card would have been a lot different and more interesting if the connection to Rocky hadn't been lost. It would have been the first time a character was created to be the nemesis of a real person. Sergeant Slaughter didn't get that, neither did the Fridge. Though, can you imagine if they'd gotten somebody like The Undertaker to join Cobra specifically to fight Slaughter? Or an evil football team to fight Perry?
Anyway, here are my final thoughts on the Joe that never was, Rocky, and Big Boa.
Rocky really would have been just another footnote like the Fridge was, so I can't say I'm too broken up about Stallone backing out of the deal. Though, I have to admit, if it had been Rambo, there would be a lot more to talk about. Big Boa, well, it's a nice enough toy, but it's also just a one-trick pony. I never really had any use for him outside of a diorama of him training the troops. It's really a figure you can take or leave.
The Balboa Big Boa Pundo? Yeah, that's gonna stab you in the comedy soul for weeks. Well, see you next time, everybody.
And your bollocks did up good, you did.
Given enough time, they probably would have added something even more ridiculous, like, I don't know, a baseball driver?